Prepare for a fusion of knowledge and exhilaration where education and excitement collide.
Taking you on an adventure that expands your mind and speaks to your spirit.
I'm Master Nick.
I'm Lady D.
We are the Dom Life.
This podcast contains sexually explicit topics and adult content.
It is intended for listeners 18 and older.
The opinions expressed in this podcast are ours alone, based on our personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
We understand that others may have different opinions and experiences, and we respect that. We would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at www.thedomlife.com. Now, I do got to say, and I don't remember where I used this here. You're on Etsy. I don't think your website you have where people can message you.
I have a website, and my website's up, and right now it's linking to my Etsy. But like I said, I'm working with a software developer right now to do something special.
Somewheres in your messages, you will find a message from me saying, "Hey, do you make anything that is UV reactive?"
I am terrible about messages.
So now that you're here, I'm going to ask, do you have ways of making anything UV reactive?
Because we have that.
We have an event coming up in December for Swinger Society Takeover. We're planning a heavy impact light show where it's me and Lady D, and then we're collaborating with our friends from Ex Libris Photography. Every implement that we use, we either need it to glow or light up. So
we can do both.
Oh, yay.
Then yes. Awesome.
We're gonna have a conversation after
UV
this.
reactive is not terribly difficult, especially when you're talking about like my 3D printed ones, because you can get the filament and the acrylic both to be UV reactive.
Oh my gosh, I love you.
All right, so I'm gonna be writing you a blank check here after a while.
We're gonna get it all done. So you are still doing the love leather and lace,
Yep.
and do you're obviously doing a website that's going to make it a little bit more easy to customize or order what you want. So that means, do you have people that do it other than you?
Just me and Nicolette.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a busy lady.
People say that, but to be honest, I am, but I'm also not.
Because you kind of handle your own schedule. Is that why? You get people that for LiNK. So tell me, like, what kind of time do you invest in that?
I am a multitasker. I'm never doing just one thing.
Right.
Me neither.
So like if I have 3 things and everybody, seems to think that we do them in sequence. We do all of one thing well. I'm like, no, I don't need 3 hours. I need 1 hour and some focus, to do all of those things. It's like I consume media like you would not believe, because this is information. I love stories. It's another reason for this group. I love hearing people's stories. I love seeing people do this. But I read a ton. I watch movies, TV, music, all of it. I consume it. But I do it while I'm working. So I'm doing all of these things together.
Right.
Gotcha.
I have earbuds in and I listen to different things because I can't I have ringing in my ear. But beyond that, if my focus is on one thing, I'll probably lose my mind, right?
Oh.
The only thing that's frustrating for a partner is that sometimes
you start a story here, you say about 5 words, and then you're talking about this. And then 30 minutes later, you're like, well, I can't remember what I was saying. And I'm like, well, these were the 5 words that you said. It's the constant chasing, trying to find out the end of a story.
I'm guilty.
So bad too. And I wish sometimes that it weren't like that, but I wouldn't change it being like that because I get my stuff done. I have to sit there. I walk out of a room saying, you just have to go get the laundry. You just have to go get the laundry. You just have, because by the time I get to the laundry, I've already done 3 other things that I didn't need to be doing at the time.
It sounds like the reason why it takes me like 200 hours to finish a video game is because constantly on those side quests. It's always a side quest. You can't just go and like go from one end of the quest to the other. You got to do all the little ones in between to get the lore, to understand. Like, I'm in the middle of this conversation, but wait, you can't understand this unless I tell you this first.
Right.
This is such a bad thing for my husband.
Yeah. It gets a little confusing. And I have a short memory. So depending on how long her side stories are, then she said, what was I talking about? And I'm sitting there going, well, fuck, I don't know what the hell he was talking about because I honestly forgot.
That's when they start going off on the sidetrack. You take out your little note on your phone and
Yeah,
you write
that's
it
what I had
down.
to start doing.
Hit the little record button real quick.
Yeah. I have
that's
I have
true.
so many little notes of me just to remember little things, and then half the time I don't even look at the notes. but
Right. That's
okay.
me. I'll write a note and forget I left it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got Love Leather and Lace, and now you also have LNK.
Yes.
So what kind of things? It's a big thing. You're like an activist in a community that needed you. So what kind of things do you do through LNK? What are some of the things?
I think that I don't know. I always question whether I'm an activist or not, like that kind of thing, because like a lot of what I do tends to be a lot more quiet. Like there are people who do it better than me already. So a lot of that like out there kind of thing is not really.
But maybe the community didn't need that.
And that's what So it's always a weird thing because activist is like one of those things people expect you to see at the front of a parade or like, I'm like, that's not me. I'm behind here. I am organizing. I'm trying to make sure that like I said, when I first found BDSM, I felt seen. I felt like someplace where I could be accepted.
Right.
And I want to do that on a wider level and, to bring that active affirmation.
Right.
So right now, my primary responsibilities, we have a board. We have a wonderful board. And every year we have been refining, adapting, changing. And I've been really proud of like the growth that's been happening just in there. And so a lot of the people on the board and a lot of our other members are running events. We have everything we have board games, trivia, we have ASL classes.
The ASL amazed me.
Yeah, that's great.
That is
It's communication.
right.
Well, so before we go much further, just for people, what does ASL?
American Sign Language.
Okay. Because see, I didn't know it was abbreviated. I was always known as sign language.
Yeah, American Sign Language, because there's multiple forms of sign language.
So if you're listening and you knew it, shut up. I didn't.
Now you do.
Now I do.
Every day
Okay,
we're learning something
gotcha.
new.
All right, sorry. Continue.
That's okay. And we have coffee meetup. We have international munch. Oh, I'm forgetting more karaoke. So we have a lot of things that are just social like events to connect, to learn to communicate, to learn to be in these kind of societies with people, around people, a lot of different people. And we also have our rope classes.
Right.
We have a play party. We do skill shops, things like that. We're trying to up that a little bit more now that we're more, stable into our thing. So we're trying to blend and balance these things. My responsibilities right now, primarily, I take care of the slosh. I run the slosh and I run the monthly party. And then behind that, I have to make sure that we are within the bylaws and the mission statements, everything we do.
Right.
The board, I don't vote on anything that comes before the board usually, unless it's a financial matter. That's all in the bylaws. But I am just there to tell them, this is the rules. This is what you're doing. This is what you're looking for. This is the question we need to be answered. We don't need to get sidetracked. We don't need to go off on side quest. So my job is to make sure we're in this focus, that we're not going too far off from it. And if, for example, my board decided to do something that I felt was very much outside the mission, then there's the capability of me to say, this is not good. I'm not going to do this. And at that point, it can go to the membership to ask them. But I have that ability to be like, we are out of boundaries, guys.
Right.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
I did see where you could veto in the bylaws, and you're also the tiebreaker.
Yes.
I don't think I would enjoy that because
That would be a tough one.
It would be tough for me I have a tendency to be able to see both sides. I'm a Libra, and it just both sides of every story. It just is what I am. And so having to decide on one or the other, even just deciding what I'm going to eat some days, it's a lot for me.
I'm a Capricorn.
Oh, well, that's easy. My mom was a Capricorn.
But I found out early on, and that's some of the way that my history was, and going on my own at 16, that my world works best when I make my decisions for myself.
Right.
When other people start to make my decisions, things go off the rails because they don't know me. They don't have that inner self. So I have to make my own decisions. So I got really good really early on about just making a decision and going with it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still have executive function on a lot of damn things. But when it comes to big things, I have that capability of just this is what I've looked at. This is what I think is going to be best. And this is what we're going to do.
And that's amazing. My world, I make decisions, but I make it based on input from a lot of people. I try to get feedback, and that allows me to make choices that I'm more if I know, I just do it. But if I don't know, then I want feedback. I may not do what Master Nick says or what you would say, but I hear it, I listen to it, I process it, and then I make a decision.
Right.
I always like to get other people's inputs because, again, it's a perspective maybe I have never been able to have because that's not my brain. It's not how my brain works and things like that. But I have a base morality and a base ethic line. And that is, bottom line, almost any decision I make is going to come down to body autonomy. That's all. Right. One thing we can control in our life is what we do to our bodies,
right,
and how we behave like that. So whatever it is that gives the most body autonomy, and that's for everybody. It's that whole thing too, your freedom stops where mine begins, that kind of thing.
Right.
Don't start nothing, won't be nothing kind of thing,
Right.
So it always goes back to that. And now there are some times where I'm on the, on that gray line of well, on this side, but this side, so you're kind of equal. And I'll listen. I always will listen. I've changed my mind about so many things. And people think I'm stubborn, which I am, but only for things that I have already went through that process of over and over restructuring. Right. A lot of things I still don't know about. I don't have the knowledge to have a concrete thought process
and
on
I say that regularly. I will say, I didn't do any research on this, so I can't give you input. One of the big ones for me is politics. I avoid politics as much as possible, and I get that politics are a part of our world and I should be actively engaged, but I would have to know all of the candidates to be actively engaged, and I can't do that because I feel that politics are not an area that will make me a healthy, happy person.
I am a big person for all kinds of politics. In fact, when I first went to college, it was for political science.
Ooh.
I wanted to be a politician.
See, you'd be good at it,
and you
too.
still can.
Oh, no. When people say they don't do politics, they don't do that kind of stuff, that's absolutely understandable because that system is broke. It's just wrong. It's broken. It's not true. It's not real. It's not concrete, But the issues behind the politics are really where we need to shine. And that has to start at a community level. That has to start at a ground root. You have to, a grassroots, you have to start from the smaller pieces to get to you can't, it's just not possible. Me, as just this one person in Louisville, no matter what direction, what pull I get in this city, overall nationally, it can't make that much difference.
Right.
But I've always thought that if you make a difference for one person, you teach somebody one thing, and this is my immortality. This is my idea of immortality. I teach you a skill. You use that skill. You teach somebody else a skill over and over again. Every time you use that skill, there's a little piece of me there.
That is absolutely 100% right.
Yep.
And for me, I'm so enjoying talking to you. This just all my heart feels good. Right. I'm not going to lie.
Right. So the night at Kinktasia, you was very excited. You had just learned that you all got your 501c3.
Yes. That was a process.
I was going to ask that was one of my big questions is what did it take?
last year we raised money through some auctions and stuff too, because it was over $600 to file the paperwork,
Right.
which there were so many things that just went wrong with the process.
Okay.
And the messed up thing is it's like really not our fault. So we filed the paperwork back in May of 2023.
Okay.
And I waited and I waited and I waited. It was over 40 pages of application. And we got like a message saying from the IRS months later, I think it was like 7 months after we submitted. And one of the reasons it took so long is because we had registered as an LLC. And nobody told us that.
Gotcha.
So in Kentucky, you can register as a nonprofit LLC. You cannot federally. So they came back at us and they were like, you need to change your name. You need to change your structure. You need to do all of this stuff. And I was like, okay. And then they're like, you got to do it in this time frame too.
Of course.
And so come to find out, I had so many problems because the tax ID, to go through the state and you have to go to like, it was a lot. But anyway, got us changed to LiNK Inc. Got all that paperwork done again. And then I don't remember, there was something else. Then sent us back another thing saying we had to do something else. And I'm like,
It's like the state of Kentucky does it one way, and none of that worked for the government federal.
it was rough. And then finally, I think we got it, the final thing in June, but it was backdated to February, which is when we changed our name, was back in February. But then like, I'm still dealing with it because during that whole process, we have our tax ID number and stuff that it was supposed to change over as it went to a nonprofit for our new name. It did not. So we're having problems verifying our, if you go online, you can see it in the IRS database that we are the nonprofit under this tax ID. However, if you try to file anything with the IRS under it, it gets thrown right back at you. All of this has been a learning process. I've never done any of this stuff that I'm doing now.
Right.
What does it mean to have that, though?
It gets us tax free, which means we don't have to file. We only have to file like a little tiny like a postcard every year. It gives us recognition as an educational institution and things like that, which is helpful for us because it's again trying to show that this is not a fringe thing. This is an educational thing that we all need. We all need that. So being recognized by the federal government as a legit like organization that is providing a service to the community is just,
You would have never been able to do this 20 years ago.
No.
So it's amazing. I agree.
And there are a couple other groups in the country that have done went the nonprofit route. Indianapolis, I don't know if they still have it, but IKS up there used to be a nonprofit, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But I've not seen it quite in the way we're doing it yet. And we have plans to grow bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, that's definitely the ultimate goal there is to keep growing each year, get bigger.
That fundraising though, that's
I was
the
going to
biggest
ask,
part of that.
what are the ways that you currently fundraise? What are the things that you do? How do you get money? How do people get you money?
Currently, our expenses are pretty low, but we want to try to save up for our own building, to buy our actually own building. Right. So we charge for our parties. So we get that. The rope classes, they bring in some money for us too. We do raffles, a lot of auctions, things like that.
So people donate to you the things that they're making and stuff, like just at Kinktasia, me getting the paddle.
Yes.
It was made by another company. That's the kind of things that you guys get and are able to raffle off. And
and also it helps us really to encourage local crafters. Eventually, one of the things we would love to do is have a co-op store as part of our building so that we can actually have different equipment, different things. Because you go online and you're trying to find stuff, you don't know what quality is.
Yeah.
You don't even know how to use half this stuff.
Right.
But to have a place where you could have local crafters like put in their furniture and things and have somebody come in and you'd be like, how do I use this? Well, this is how you do this. And you can look at the sturdiness, the quality, all of that.
That's awesome. Right. That's awesome. That would be a great
It would be
place where you, because now you have to wait to an event in order to get the vendors. Right. And that's only if you're an event like Kinktasia and not like the last one we went to.
Oh man.
No comment.
No comment.
I've said a lot on that one. And
I'm wanting to think they only had like 6 months of planning, or so they said. And then to see how much bigger Kinktasia was, and to find out it was only 6 months of planning, I'm like, well, they just had the wrong damn planner.
Right. Well,
I learned a lot, though. I have been to a lot of conventions, a lot of events, and things like that. And
if
I've
you've
taken
never
notes.
done that before, if you've never, then you wouldn't know. Because I ran through a company, we did conventions, and the amount of detail stuff that you had to do it's crazy.
I had a lot of lists. And I had a lot of lists with timelines on it of like when I need to do this, when this needs to get done, kind of thing.
So what's 2025 looking like?
I am up in the air right now about how 2025 is going to look because I really want to go bigger.
Yeah, we do too.
But that's a fear too, that's a lot more on the line here because I also financed a lot of stuff. I financed almost the entire Kinktasia.
Did you recover some of those expenses?
We covered we covered the expenses for the event, and we're able to give a donation as well, which was nice.
Nice.
Okay. Well,
Good.
that's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But if we do what I want to do. And I very deliberately kept Kinktasia confined and closed, like smaller than I really wanted. It wasn't quite.
It was your first event, and you wanted to make sure that all the pieces moved properly.
I had to remove some stuff of my plans because I was a little bit overzealous, And so I had to back it up a couple times. And like I had these things, and I had this thing and this thing. And then I was like looking at my partner, and I'm like, not this year. Maybe this is too much, So I did have to scale back on some of the things. Like there were supposed to be more games. There was supposed to be like a scavenger hunt. There was supposed to be all these other things. We want to try to do a 2-day thing. We want to try to do maybe the Friday have the vendors and the cabaret show on a Friday night, just kind of like a mixer,
Right.
And then Saturday do the classes and things like that. Have the vendors, and then that evening have a play party of some sort. It may not be a fully sex positive, nudity allowed kind of thing,
right?
But still, where you're interacting with others, it would be new people, different people. Yeah.
And you can try out different furniture and play with the toys you just bought, things like that. I think that would be a lot of fun. And we've talking about doing like a hotel takeover and stuff, but that logistics that get into there and the money that gets into there. I think that we could probably spend it on better things. If people want to come up and go get a hotel and spend the night, then that's one thing. But, it's
not there yet. It's going to take a while.
I would rather build it up slowly than I would to go all out and then have it bomb.
Well, one of the things that we have been doing with the podcast is we're trying to, and I'm going to let Master Nick lead on this.
Intrigue comes up at the end of February, 1st of March.
I'm planning on going
in Indianapolis. So we have bought our tickets. We have our hotel room, and I have requested to be a vendor, and which we have a few. We've got a couple of games that Lady D has
I
created.
create like kinky games.
Like
a lot
we have,
of them.
We have it's called Naughtywood, and basically it's Jenga. Only each block has a number under it with a card, depending on what you have to do and what severity of it. She has done a poker game, which has turned out to be freaking amazing, fun. Everybody loves it. And, of course, we go to the club for VIP. She does scavenger hunts or pleasure hunts.
We've got bingo.
Tomorrow we're doing bingo. We've done bingo before.
It's just an activity bingo, and you're just trying to be the first person to get a line.
Right.
And there's some.
So we have, again, I've sent off, I've asked to be a vendor, and we would have some merchandise there. But my main thing is I want to set up my podcast equipment, because at Kinktasia there was so many people we wanted to talk to find out more about their what I thought was kinks. Come to find out it was more of an identity thing. With the elf ears, Lunas with the elf ears.
Yes.
To me, I thought it was a kink.
That's
but
actually Nicolette's partner.
Awesome.
Oh.
But I figured it would be a great way for us to get our podcast out there more.
She said that. Sorry.
But for another to find out more kinks that we're unaware of. So just to have it up and just have people to stop by with like 4 or 5 questions. Where are you from? what are your kinks, what got you into kinks, and just let them walk up. And then the ones that really intrigue us, actually stop them and have a conversation with them about it. And then for one, it helps us learn. For two, the people that listen, it helps learn. But for number three, if you've never been on a podcast and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be on a podcast, you're going to tell everybody you know to listen to our podcast for that moment. It grows our podcast, and it also is going to help grow, our audience, the education for them and the knowledge of what all's out there. I don't know what all's out there, but I'm eager to know what all is out there, So that's kind of our plan for that. And I'm supposed to find out, they say by November 1st, all the vendors will be notified if they're.
It's really hard when you're saying, I want to bring recording equipment, but as you can tell, if I'm over here, you're not going to hear me. So it's not like it's recording all the conversations and everything that's happening. It's very directional. You have to be in front of the microphone, and people don't normally get to be on podcasts and stuff like that.
That would probably be pretty popular. People probably pretty much enjoy that one. Yeah.
And then we said at the end of the podcast, for all the people that did it, we would just let it run and let everybody hear you on the podcast.
That would be really
We
cute.
would kind of do our same rundown like we did Kinktasia, what was there, what we saw, the things we really loved. And then, if the listeners were done listening, they could stop. But if you was on the pod, you could continue listening and we would get everybody's clip in there, because she's like, do you realize how long it was? And I get it. But again, most people would be 5 questions. Hi, I'm Master Nick. I'm a dominant. I found my kink through my wife. She brought me into it, and be gone. So there's 10, 15 seconds per person. But the ones that are really interesting are the ones that were like, wait a second.
I need to know
Let's
more.
back up, and we're actually going to talk some, and throw all that in. So that's just FYI. If you do Kinktasia next year, that we would like to be a part of that. If
we'll
you would
send
allow.
you our little vendor request.
Yep, we'll fill out
at
the request
time.
form.
That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll
I
see you
think
guys up there. I did apply for me too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
For Love Leather and Lace.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of Indianapolis events and stuff back in the day before COVID and all of that stuff. So that's where we got my start, was mostly up in Indianapolis for that kind of stuff.
I love Indianapolis. I mean, as a town, it's fun.
It's a great centralized place. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think like something like Kinktasia, especially as we expand it. And I did not want it in August. I'll say that August is a terrible month for it. That's not when I wanted it, but that's what we had available at the time. But that centralized kind of location, we're so close to Indianapolis, to Cincinnati, to Nashville, to St. Louis. Like we got a draw here if we have something to bring them in.
Absolutely. And a lot of that would be, setting a date now and then go ahead and start advertising.
I'm so
just like they did at Intrigue.
We're already working on it. I did actually already talk a little bit with the one who runs Art Sanctuary, Lisa, and trying to set up a date. Most October is gone. October would be my primary month, but like we do so much stuff in October anyway.
Right.
So we're probably looking at maybe November 2025.
Okay.
All right. So
Beginning of November, everybody can come get their Christmas presents, stuff like that.
All right. Well,
we're in.
Yeah, we'll definitely be there for sure. Because again, your first one was amazing.
I'm glad you guys really enjoyed it.
We are definitely looking forward to the second.
I don't know if you know, I did put out a survey about it.
I did, and I saw it twice, and I haven't responded.
I was I had to wait about a month after the event so that I could have the spine to hear the criticisms. You know what I mean? You don't want to do it right after the event. It's hard. Plus, I wanted everybody to kind of mellow, because you go to an event, you have a good time, but then later as you think about it, you're kind of like, that kind of sucked, or that was great, but it takes time to mellow. And so I got some really good feedback, some criticism.
How did you find the vendors that went there? Did they find you? Because this was your first event.
I mostly, I posted in different places that I was looking for vendors, and I kept like yelling about it, basically. I mean, throughout the whole event, like I'm sure people got tired of hearing about it, but every couple of days it was like, hey guys, don't forget, hey, vendor applications closed. And then even after vendors applications closed, I was still having people like, hey, I just heard about this event. Can I vend there? And I'm like, we might be full.
Right.
We were supposed to actually have more vendors even than we had.
Where would you have put them.
I would have, we would have restructured a little bit on
Right.
there. We still had a
Move some stuff
little
around.
bit of room.
Well, I know we mentioned it during the podcast.
Just squeeze it in.
The vendors that you had, I mean, for one, they all were amazing. But the other thing that we really noticed is there was probably something for everyone there. You know, because you had such a variety of. I spent
Pointy
I
things.
spent all my time at sharp pointed
Wax.
things, and the wax place.
Yeah.
And
What was the name of the?
Too Hot to
Too Hot
Handle
to-
candle.
We did a wax play session down here. I don't know if you saw any of the pictures, but I'll show you one of the pictures. Oh, UV reactive. It was amazing.
And I ordered those candles because I was in the process of researching what wax will work and meeting them and talking with them. And I turned to her and I said, I'm done researching. I'm buying everything from them. I'm going to wait. I'm going to look them up on their website because I want to see what all they have. And that's the very next day I'm on their website and I'm making my order.
We did really good about getting business cards and not immediately purchasing and spend, except for I tell him to do this, and then I go over to Love Leather and Lace, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy that, and I'm going to buy that.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the stuff we have there is just one of a kind too. So if you don't get
is.
it there, then you're
Right.
not going to get it.
Right.
Like,
Yep, the
I'm
collar-
glad
the
that you're
collar she's
doing
wearing.
this stuff with the app, because one of the things is when you go to Etsy and that, it's a lot harder when you're in person and it's on a wall.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. But when you're sitting there looking, you're like, oh, well, that's attractive because you have your selection of what's there versus I know it took a lot to get prepared for that event.
It always does. It always does. But we already actually have vendors already saying, and some new people who want to come out for us next year.
Oh, it'll
Oh, yeah.
for
It'll- it'll definitely blow
100%.
up.
This year we had people coming from New Jersey,
Yep.
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have somebody that wants to come over from Illinois and stuff like
Yep.
that. So
New Jersey, that's where Lance After Dark was.
yeah.
That's where I bought the stick. We all bought the sticks from him that night. But yeah, that Lance, so I was thinking that's where he was
I'm like,
from.
I could go out to the tree. He goes, it's not that kind
It's
of
a
stick.
different kind of stick. All right. What? So we know you use Art Sanctuary.
Yes.
That's where you had Kinktasia. Do you have other venues as well that you all use, or is that your main?
We use that for this is of course that was our first event there.
Right.
But we do our sloshes at Flanagan's Ale House.
Okay.
They've been great to us, so I want to make sure that they get out there, right?
Right.
We have a private room off the patio and stuff like that. And then, of course, we have our own building that we lease. So we do a lot of our classes and stuff there. And then, like, our trivia is out in town over at Planet of the Tapes.
That's where we
was at for the comedy
Yeah.
show.
that's where we went.
Planet of the Tapes is great. And then we do a Kiko's or Art Sanctuary for karaoke. So there's a couple of different places in town. And then our Munch moves. And then we go to Old Louisville Coffee Shop for our coffee. So we're trying to that's one of the things that I'm trying to get better at. Again, another skill that I didn't really have is networking with the
Right.
public and making relationships with different businesses. I tried to do that for
Right.
Kinktasia too, inviting some of the nonprofits in to get some information from them. And
They
have
were
that.
lined up by the doors.
Yeah.
You had stuff, information. He kept being called out. Do you need condoms?
They kept hollering at me, wanting to know if I needed condoms. Like, nope, I'm good. She's been fixed. And then they was like, well, what? Here, you want some lube? I was like, fine. Okay, fine. I'll take something. I will take something from you.
You said that one of the next things for LNK is purchasing a facility, like a building. What else? Kinktasia. What else is going on?
Just more of the education. We're trying to expand our education a lot. Skill shops have been slow because we actually have 3 subsidiaries.
Okay.
LiNK Inc. is our overall company.
Right.
And then we have underneath that, we have the Network of Kink, Network of Knowledge, and Network of Kindness.
Yep.
Oh, so I didn't network of kindness.
Yeah. So we started, the kink one was the easiest to kind of get off the ground. And then the knowledge one is where we're bringing in the CPR, the ASL, the skill shops. So skill shops, we're trying to line some people up 3-4 months ahead so we can put those in the calendar. We alternate the skill shops with a kink 101, ethical non-monogamy 101. I started developing curriculum for that. We have it all available on our website too for other people to use. Other people up in India and stuff, they have actually used that curriculum already too. So that's nice.
Right.
So we're trying to get this separation, because also having these separations allow us to get a different kind of relationship with businesses in town. They might not want to associate us so much if we're the Network of Kink,
Right.
But our overall reaching thing is much broader than that. So making sure of that. Network of Kindness is, I'm trying to, we've already done some donations to like Louisville Youth Group, things like that. But we're trying to get more times of getting group members to go out and volunteer for like the Pride Center and things like that as well. A lot of them already do this on their own.
Right.
But having that expansion of like, hey, guys, we might be kinky, but we're also, you know, community here.
Well,
Right.
the Swingers Society, when they came, they were taking donations for
It's a school thing.
it was. So it's this, we're kinky, but we're people.
Some of the nicest people I've ever met have been in the kink community and in the goth community.
Right.
So we haven't met people from the goth community.
Nope.
Come out to Art Sanctuary last Friday of every month. They do like a goth night and dark market there. So like,
Really.
meet so many nice,
We would
nice
stick
people.
out like a sore thumb.
You would be surprised. You would be really
Because
surprised.
I like bright colors and, you know, neon greens and all that. And
There are a few people.
I'm not aware of dark clothes. My suits are. I got the dark gray and I wear the black, but that's about the only.
I go back and forth. I am as comfortable in like, you know, bright colors as I am in dark colors. I'm as
Right.
comfortable in shredded up overalls and a t-shirt as I am in a gown. It's,
Right.
agree.
I'm all over the place.
I agree. I am too. Based on your history, your experience, your life experience, if you could impart one thing from your experience to our listeners, what would it be?
Stay curious. Just like,
I like
there's
it.
always something new. I don't care if you've been in the BDSM community for 25 years. If you think you know every single thing, I can guarantee you do not.
Right.
Because there's always something new to learn. There's always something new to expand on.
Yeah.
It also keeps you young.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
That was awesome.
Is there anything that you
Yeah,
want to say?
We've been sitting here throwing questions at you. Do you have any questions or anything? I mean, this isn't an interview or nothing. Do you?
No, I thank you for having me and thank you for being supportive. And I am so thankful for all the people who participate in this group and who like come to our events, who spread the word, who are doing things for education. And I want to encourage everybody to keep doing what you guys are doing, because it sounds like you have some creative ideas too, which that's what we need.
Right.
We have a bunch of neurodivergent people who need that dopamine. We need that new thing coming on.
Right.
So if it's good for us and fun, keep going.
That's right. Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your enormous, busy schedule that you
especially
have.
with all the Halloween stuff sitting out on your porch.
Yes, missing out on decorating tonight.
I'm gonna be up late tonight trying to like decorate.
Good
It's
thing
okay.
it's a Friday.
I got some time. I still got time before the party. It's fine.
Right.
It's fine.
But we do.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
We greatly appreciate it. We definitely look forward to seeing you again. We will be out to some LNK events. We just got to get through our busy schedule for a little bit first.
It was a little rough the last 2 months in terms of every
been busy.
weekend something.
Yep.
Sometimes it's like that. It's just one after another. And then other weeks you're like, what?
They're just quiet. Where are people?
Nobody likes me anymore.
But again, thank you very much, and we'll be seeing you.
Well, so I'm here all by myself because I took over the Dom life. Yay! It is going to be coming up next week, Subby Day. And it involved all of my closest friends. No Doms were allowed at this event, and it got epic. Please follow, like, and share our podcast.
Make sure to visit thedomlife.com, where you can find pictures and other details about the Dom Life podcast. And through the Contact Us button, you can ask questions or provide recommendations for future episodes.
We want to explore your kink too.
Be sure to check out upcoming events to see where our adventures are taking us and our photo gallery to where we've been.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you had fun listening and learning with us.
Till next time, keep calm and remember your safe word.
Red, red, red.